Air traffic control should not be flying the plane.
That's a great way to put it. Exactly.
That's the pod.
Man, what a quote. Dominic at the end said, I don't care about revenue anymore. I just want to be profitable. This was an incredibly transparent episode. And we're going to do a part 2 too. Dominic over at Superior Inc., been a friend for a long time. And his journey of 5 million and scaling to there and what he's thinking about beyond. Not easy. I mean, that's the summary. Not easy and a lot of ups and downs. And Dominic's going to share a lot about that. We're getting into some stuff around sales and production and marketing and just the stressors of being able to do this and trying to up level the business and really wanting to generate a good profit. It's been quite a path for Superior, but a lot of upside and a lot of lessons learned from this episode. So we're excited to continue on to another one. So thank you, Dom, for all the time. We've got a couple incredible partners every single week that help us put this show on. First up, Stalls. I mean, Stalls, if you go to Stalls' website, you will see that they've got the equipment, they've got transfers, and they've got support. They're putting on so many different in-person events this year. It's been pretty crazy to see. So visit stalls.com, check all that stuff out. They're really trying to help the industry improve. They're a leader in heat printing solutions, and they make the hustle easier. Save 20% off your DTF transfer order. Use that code Hustler20 on your next order. That's Hustler20. Multicraft_daddy. Dave at Multicraft has been working with shops for a long time. Multicraft themselves have been around for 50 plus years, providing the industry with top brands at competitive pricing. And Dave's been an incredible partner with so many shops, able to help them too. If you go to Multicraft_daddy on your Instagram account, send him a DM with your email address. He's always sending out gifts every single week. And a lot of those gifts are PMI tape. We're friends over at PMI tape. And Multicraft worked together to be able to do that. And that is super, super cool. It's just some really great partners that are a good partner in your business. You know, you always need that, especially when shit hits the fan. Next up, GraphX Source. GraphX Source offers industry-leading outsourcing options for your shop by truly becoming a part of your team. So many shops are on GraphX Source. They plug and play with Printavo and a bunch of other shop management solutions and handling things like SEPs and mockups, creative art, order management, digitizing, some back office admin, and customer service. They've been around too, over 40 years in this game. Hit them up, graphxsource.com. Try out their service too. Use the code PrintavoPod24. That gets you 50% off your first order. Last but not least, Easy Way. Easy Way, every single month, they're giving out $250. This is really great. Every single month, easyway.com/giveaway. It's part of their monthly giveaway program to give back to their amazing customers. Also, easyway.com has a ton of incredible resources too. So that's really incredible. They make reclaiming screens a whole lot easier with their systems, chemicals, and equipment. Head to easyway.com/giveaway and you can claim that product credit or enter that giveaway. All right, let's jump on in. Dominic Rosacci, welcome back to the podcast.
What's up, fellas? Stoked to be here.
Dude, this is awesome. By the way, how are you're all settled in with your new spot? I know you've it's been, you posted so much and the newer video seems like you're rolling now, huh?
Yeah, no, we're fully on the side, staffed, feeling good.
You happy about it?
I'm super happy. It was a painful process, but it just had to happen. And I'm so relieved now that it's done. And then we got a Denver location too now, which is really good.
I saw that. That's just like an office?
Yeah, because all the remote people kind of felt left out, like now we have manufacturing and everybody's at the same place and all vibing. And then everybody else that didn't make the move kind of had no home base. And so like our culture was feeling a little bit divided. So we had to bear the expense of just bringing something so we could have leadership meetings and have like still a Denver zip code. Like we would have lost our Google My Business page with like 300 plus reviews. So
you just put it at like your house or something.
So for those that are just listening and haven't heard Dom's other episode, Dom from Superior moved his shop, 150 miles away? 120, 130?
It's like 90. Yeah, something like that.
Couple hours away. Completely rehired staff, now has a satellite location. And Dom, the reason you did that move was like economics, right? Like it wouldn't have been economical for you to stay in Denver and still run like large scale manufacturing.
Yeah, 100%. We're dying, death by 1,000 cuts, staying where we were.
I mean, you said it on the Church Show. I think it was rent and overhead was just...
Rent, overhead, cost of goods, labor was a big component of that too.
So how much do you think you're going to save per year? I'm sure you math this out. What do you think the upside is?
So about $250,000 a year is what we're looking at for just initial savings. Then you add back in like some free shipping incentives and things for clients that we're going to continue to offer, because that was a big deterrent. There's a lot of local business and pickups that, won't exist anymore. So there'll be some like add backs, but yeah, about $250,000.
Wow. And then will you just like run trucks? Like if there's an order that needs to get to Denver, will you just like deliver it to Denver basically is what you're saying? Like you'll incur the cost of extra freight.
Yeah. We found a company called Curry, and it's a courier, but we do 2 runs per week from Denver, or from Fountain to Denver.
Very similar setup to you, Steven. Production in Champaign, production up there, northern, I forget what the town's name is. And then you've got your kind of sales office to keep people together in Chicago and in Denver.
It's
literally a clone.
Now Dom's just a road warrior probably. How many times a week do you go back and forth, Dom? Now, like, where are you spending your time?
This is sad and happy, but bro, I haven't been to Fountain in like almost 3 weeks. There's no need for me to be there, dude. Like I go in there and I'm all excited to help people. And then I just get bummed out because people are like, dude, we're just in the way. I've really like weaned myself out of production to the point where, I really am hardly there. The idea was to go once a week. But I haven't really needed to. And I've been putting a lot of focus and effort into the Denver spot. But I still like to go there and show face. It gives me like, I like going there. I just am not needed there. Chris really runs a tight ship, and there's no need for me to be there every day helicoptering like I used to.
Steven, any similarities?
Yeah, a lot. When I'm here, everyone is a little bit more high stress. Magically, like everything gets clean. Well, they know the days that I'm coming in, so like things will get clean the day before. When I'm not here, I don't have to think about it. When I'm here, people ask me the weirdest questions. I'm like, who would you have asked if I wasn't here? I'm like, I don't know, ask someone else. So it's like, by not making yourself available, you're like kind of protecting yourself. So then what do you do with all your time now? Congratulations.
Thanks, man. Thanks. Yeah, it's oddly enough, I feel like I don't have that much time back. I mean, it's still the same amount of effort. It's just gone from like more physical world to mental gymnastics. I'm focused on different things than I used to be. So I don't have like a crazy amount of time necessarily, but I can if I want to. You know what I mean? Like if I want to focus on traveling or spending time with my daughter or working out, like I have that ability now that I didn't before. But I'm also feeling very obligated to focus on new channels and new like areas of opportunity.
Yeah, I feel like when you're on the production floor, you can always find something to do. But when you're actually not there, you're like, oh shit, okay, what am I going to do? What's actually helpful? And that takes a different type of brain space, like you said.
Yeah, is there someone that's a point person there? And yes, Steven said congrats on that transition. But like, is there someone that's running the show?
Yeah, Chris is there. Chris, oddly enough, he runs our production now. He's there 2 days a week. So we work 4 10s. So there's 4 production days. He's there 2 out of the 4 days. And then when he's not there, he has our production lead that's in charge of approvals and everything else. So he travels twice a week from Broomfield to Fountain, which is a long haul.
Wow. So even your production manager, you're like your number 2 is still semi-remote.
Yeah, but it's like, dude, I never knew how to run a press. I mean, fortunately, like once we got off of a manual, I never ran an auto. And so most of my time there was already not crazy productive, like and efficient with production. You know, a production manager should be scheduling jobs. They should be doing the hiring and firing of the staff. They should be building culture. A production manager shouldn't be, they shouldn't need to be there like running a press all day, every day. Like they're still a leadership position. And if you have a leader that's a salary position and they're running a press, that's like not an effective use of time, in my opinion. So he's able to do all of his scheduling remote. And then the 2 days that he's in there, he can do like training and, you know, employee reviews and work with the staff and kind of build culture.
Air traffic control should not be flying the plane.
That's a great way to put it. Exactly.
That's the pod.
I actually like you said the one line that's kind of cool. It's like, I didn't know how to run the auto, like after we had the manual, and that probably saved you or like saved a lot of your time, because when you do know that stuff, it was like me, like getting into the coding. It's like, I just wanted to just be in it. Whereas that wasn't my best time spent. But it's addictive to like, oh, wait, are you like, oh, I could just like, I'll just do it.
Exactly. No, it's so easy to get lost in the sauce of like just doing things with your hands and physically running around. But it's like it's the least productive thing in my mind, you know, like that was one of the things I wanted to talk about too. I think the single most important decision that you'll make for your company's success is the people that you hire to run it. You know, whether it's in production or whether it's executive team, really it all fundamentally comes down to like who you have in the driver's seat, you know, outside of you.
What does that exactly mean to you? Because like, I totally agree, but does that mean like you spend just an unreal amount of time one-on-one with people? Does that mean you're like hire fire pretty quick to get people in the right seats? What does that mean on the ground?
Well, that's the trickle effect. So like you should be the most intentional with leadership and like your managers. So like I should be the one to identify who is going to be the decision makers at the company. And then it branches out from there. So if I hire the best people at the top, then they're going to hire the best mid people below them. And those mid people are going to hire the best below them, if that makes sense. It's kind of like a spider effect. So yeah, it starts at the top and then that culture builds down to essentially the bottom. And so you have a solid foundation of people. And I've always said that like, you know, A-level employees play really well with other A-level employees. And I think the only cost is like the monetary spend, because you have to pay a lot of money for really good people. And sometimes that comes at the cost of profitability and other things, but it's a trade-off, you know, it's super important.
Dom, when was it for you? Because like, I don't know, we've probably known each other for like maybe 8 or 9 years. And as you were building Superior, you were working with a lot of your peers, friends, lifelong buddies. And then something switched and you started like hiring experts.
You calling his friends not experts?
No, you get what I'm saying. But you definitely made a shift. When was that shift? What light bulb went off where you're like, I can't, you know, yeah. What was that for you? If you could go back to that.
There was the Dom crew. I remember the Dom crew.
The Dom crew was legendary, bro. I mean, we handled it. That's some blue collar.
The trade shows like the Flying V, him up front.
Honestly, dude, we turned into like a dating machine. Like everybody was dating everybody and people were starting relationships. I swear we had like 20 employees and like half the staff were dating each other. And I was like, oh, this ain't good. Like this is a real problem. And then Hunter and Addison, like this actually was a beautiful story, but Hunter and Addison, he was my, you know, everybody knows Hunter for stories, but he was my right-hand person, production manager for 10 years. And then Addison came in as ops manager and they got together and I was like, yo, this is wild. But it was a cool story. Like they got married and they went home. And so when Hunter and Gordy, had moved on, then we brought Ryan in and Ryan was like, he's like, we're done with like the silly shit. Like we got to lock in basically. And so it went from me hiring people on vibes to him hiring people on like merit and character, and it was like that no bullshit. Like he was so perfect too, because he's always like, don't play with your food when you let people go, because I'm always like trying to say some profound like journey shit and connect with people, and I think that's my downfall, is like I like people, you know, I love people, and when they come into the organization, I'm already like befriend them. And Ryan's like, you can't do that. Like you can't just be friends with everybody, because then when it's time to make tough decisions, like it's tough for everybody. You got to look at people, you know, you got to look at the position, not the person, in every decision. And I think that was super helpful, because it really cleaned house. And I thought we were going to lose culture by, you know, making those tougher decisions and hiring people based on their skill set versus their personality. But you kind of have to do both, you know?
So Ryan was he was like the impetus for the, you know, like you talk about the A players around you. That's a great example of like, hey dude, we got to like up level our hiring process.
Yeah. And I've talked about this before, but I think like, you know, when I was on Shirt Show, we talked about kind of the struggle and why we're having a difficult time. We still kind of are. And I think that's because we invested so much into A players, you know, like we're having a hard time. Like, I think there's also something to be said about bloating too. Like you got to bring in A players, but like, we're not tech, we're not software. We can't really afford the best of the best. There's a fine line between like hiring the best people and also being profitable, and like, you know, being mindful of exit strategy and valuation and like what your company is actually worth. Because if you're growing fast and your revenue's increasing, but like your profit is taking a hit because of the investment in people, then like that's not good either. So I'm still trying to find that one.
Have you shared where you're at roughly top line revenue wise?
Yeah, I mean we're at like 5 million, and then we're shooting for like a 7%
growth.
Yeah,
that was really tough too. When we were crossing 5, there was like 25 to 30 people, and we really needed good management, like you're saying. And that meant going flat to in the red. And it was just like really painful to hit that, like jump above that kind of sweet spot between like around 3-ish to 4-ish, where it's like, yeah, things work. I don't like kind of 15 people, you can stretch and everything, to that next level. Really, really hard, and put us in the red.
It's also, you have to have so many people like to make things. And so you need like a lot of people. So your staff is big. I mean, like for us, like before we left Denver, when we were in Denver, we had like 30 people, and we're at like between 4 and 5 million in revenue. That's a lot. And we have like expensive staff. So it's kind of like, no wonder we're not making money. Like, I feel like we really built all the systems that we need. So when we talk about valuation and how your company is valued, it's profitability, but it's also like the infrastructure and knowing that it can be an engine that runs by itself. And so like the last 2 years, we've invested in that by investing in good people, building out SOPs so that I don't have to be there. And even our production manager can be a hybrid role. So like, I feel like we put ourselves in a really good position for the company to have the systems and process so that the next
jump above this painful spot and get to the...
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
I feel like there's moments in business where it's like, okay, this is a period of investment. This is a period of growth. And then like, this is a period of optimization. And what you want to do is invest. You know, you can't stop growing, but you know, your labor rate's going to go up 5-6% because you're paying a premium, but then the revenue has to catch up with it. I think the scary part is if the revenue doesn't catch up with that. We had that issue a couple of times when we were climbing, and you know, we would have a month that would be $1.8 million, and then July was like $800,000. Well, our payroll is $400,000 a month, so it was like those bad months would absolutely slaughter us. And then it was like, oh shit, we actually need to like focus on, you know, like invest and then optimize and figure out how to get a better like revenue ratio like all the time. How tied in are your leaders to profitability? Like now that you've got an A team around you, are they motivated the same thing?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like, and that's why top down mentality was so Chris was like, we give a ton of credit to Ryan and it's due, but like Chris, our production manager, he was a professor at, I think, CU Boulder. And so he's an educator, you know, like he thinks very methodically. And so he's built a whole system to trickle down to where the operators are incentivized and de-incentivize, I guess, on mistakes. And so like they've built like a really, really cool thing so that the whole team is working towards the same goal. But dude, Steven, we had the same thing, man. It's like you're building, and then you have, like, I'd say the number one problem in this industry is, and everybody knows it, is just the volatility, you know, like you ebb and flow and you have a couple crusher months. We talked to our CFO, like, how do we operate as a cash business? Like, why are we always pulling in? Why are we purchasing on terms and purchasing with the credit card? He's basically like, if you want to operate as a cash business or get to that, like you need to be profitable for like 6, 7, 8, 9 months at a time. And it's like crazy to me because it's like, we'll crush 1 month and then we'll have a loss and then we'll crush. It always like evens out, you know? So how do you solve that problem of unpredictability? And I think the answer to that is contracts. Like, taking it back to 1993, when you talk about contract pricing, what did that, now we just say contract printing, but there's no contract in place. And I think for us to get a stickier relationship, because here's the problem, man, and I would say this industry is like a video game, because I could be like on my deathbed 1 week being like, how the heck are we going to do this? And then I wake up the next day and a huge opportunity comes and it's like, yes, this is sick, you know? But I always say like the Beckys of the world or the marketing people, like they move on. And if you have no agreement in place, you could have the best relationship, a $1 million a year account, and then it just goes away. And so having contracts in place, and then that's why 3PL for us, like I know Justin, there's been a lot of discussion about like screen printers not getting distracted on doing 3PL. And I get it, because it's been like a 3-year journey for us to build out a good system. But by doing 3PL and owning the inventory, now you have a really sticky customer. So you have a contract and you own all their inventory. That's like security, because without those things, like opportunities just come and go and you always end up like at a wash.
And I think what you're saying is, how do you find alternative parts of the business, like alternative revenue, that can provide like a security blanket around your business so that you're not going to lose stuff. So like another example would be like, you know, we work with the College of Business here. We do all of their online stores. We run a year-round online store. It doesn't do amazing, but because we do it, we also get their PO for 4,000 shirts and their mugs and all that other stuff that they need. So it's like, you have to think about what it would take to how do you like lock a customer in so that the switching cost for them is way too hard, provided that you obviously offer a good service, right? But if you can like create something that can't be dislodged, I think that is and that's what you're doing with 3PL is what it sounds like. That's like your leader.
It is. And it's also not like, oh, we got you, you know, it's like, how do we, like, that's where we were the most intentional about 3PL, because just doing fulfillment and stuff like that's like not that crazy of to switch, but like, how do you provide additional value? So then another high level employee, high salary employee, executive level is like, they come in and they do the analysis of inventory. Like they run the inventory for clients, because a lot of the 3PL customers they're not in the business of selling soft goods. It's a secondary thing, and they don't have the bandwidth or resources to be like managing their own inventory and doing replenishment. So like, we come in and offer that as another service so they're hands off. And so like, we've been niching into like franchise companies, franchise businesses, coffee companies that have 30 plus locations that sell merch brick and mortar, and their managers are responsible for ordering things. Like we provide, like they have the demand, and we just need to make sure that we have like the supply on their behalf. And then it's hard for them to leave, but it's not hard for them to leave. Like, got you. It's like, it would be irresponsible for them to leave, because we provide them so much value that they wouldn't otherwise have. They'd have to have like an agency. They'd have to have a 3PL company, a printer. Like That's why I kept saying, like, with the rebrand, that we're kind of like the tech stack of manufacturing, you know. We're a brand built for brands. And the previous 10 years when we were scrappy, it's like we're just a screen printer trying to pay high salaries. And those high salaries are on the backs of printers that are working their ass off. You can't print enough shirts to pay for C-suite employees unless you have other revenue streams that offset that cost.
It's really interesting you say that. Something we were doing at our last traction was like, are we a t-shirt company? No, we're really like a merch-enabled marketing agency. Without the marketing, the merch is dead. So why don't we offer the marketing as a service? So it's like you're thinking about it the right way.
You talked about difficult times when things are slow and then you're like, something pops up and you swing back and you feel good again. Maybe this past Jan Feb was an example of that, but like mentally, how do you go through it? Because other shops have asked this as well in Fabric, of just like, how are you dealing with some of the mental, super slow weeks, potentially months, and then still pushing forward?
It's really hard. It's just hard, you know, but it's like, you got to be kind of like built for that. It's not always like good. I mean, you know, one of the things I think a lot of people go through that, and all you can cut are like variable expenses. But like for us, having a bad January, February, we just built this incredible team back up. So to like start cutting people is not good. So a lot of times when like our direct customers, the buying is down, then we turn on all like the contract brokers so that we can keep our staff, even though we're like not making money on that work. We don't have to fire people. But as far as like the mental fortitude, it's just, I don't know. I feel like I've done this long enough to know that money's a resource and it comes and goes, and it always turns, like there's always a way that you're going to come out of it, you know? And I feel like it's been like 10 plus times where I've been to that point of like, I don't think I have anything left to give. And then it turns around. I don't know. I mean,
that's how you float the funky periods too, is contract work, like between busy and slow season.
Yeah, which is hard too, because we're trying to be a full package shop, and then running like a contract shop is vastly different than running like a retail shop. You know, like you got to turn on, and then you got to start getting like real cutthroat about quality and misprints and speed and all that shit. Whereas if you're working with direct customers, you know, a lot of times with our direct business, we can make more in a half of a day than we do in 4 days of contract work.
And I feel like, Dom, you're the cost of running a $5 million company and a $7 million company is relatively the same now, right? It's like the engine is built and now it's like, I have to feed this beast. Do you think you've put as much effort and emphasis on your production facility as you do your sales team?
Dude, I'm glad you asked that, because like when I think of the sales channels, like where Superior has failed, I think is like when you think of marketing and sales engine, I literally think of, it's so complicated, but there's two buckets. Like you put your brand in a position to where the customers find you, or you find the customers. So you either have a really strong outbound sales team and you're hunting, or you put out enough content and you put yourself out there to where clients find you. And I still think that when I look at a pie chart of how business comes in, the number one, like best opportunity over and over is referral and reputation. Referral and reputation bring us more business than any outbound strategy. And Steven, to your point, we've been okay at marketing and brand positioning. We have never done outbound. We've just never been able to figure it out. It's really tough, you know, at least for me, because I've just never like cracked that code. So we've been hyper dependent on putting ourselves in a position for customers to find us rather than us going hunting.
So if you wanted to turn that, like maybe there's like something there where, okay, we're not good at outbound. We haven't been able to crack it. We're spinning our wheels. We're trying different CRMs. It's not working. We're not cold callers. What if there was a way where it was like, we're actually going to be very intentional about referral business, asking for referrals, doing customer follow-ups, like I think you can still find success in actually like a very intentional success strategy.
That one's been tricky too, because it's still, it seems like a little bit salesy, like, hey, tell somebody about this thing and, you know, like we'll give you something. It's like, I've thought for a long time of how to like build that engine out and track it. But I think that it just goes back to reputation. Like that's organically going to happen if you just continue to be a crusher and be known as the best of the best versus incentivizing somebody to tell somebody else.
Are there any companies out there that just depend on referral business? Like, Bruce, have you ever gotten a call from Northwestern Mutual? Dom, have you ever gotten a call from Northwestern Mutual?
I think so.
So like Northwestern Mutual is an insurance company and they really only work on referrals. They sell you like $20 life insurance to try and get you in. And what they'll do is all of their salespeople or whatever, brokers, they'll ask to do a 15-minute coffee chat or whatever. And it's usually a second degree network. And then at the end of it, they religiously track, you know, hey, you might not be a good fit for this. Do you think you could refer me to someone else? And that is how Northwestern Mutual, their whole ethos is built on referrals. So it's like, maybe there is a way, but you don't want to do it in a salesy way. But like, how much do you actually look at like returning do you actually have like insights on like returning customers, the pie chart of your customers, how much they spend with you, who you're big, like, how do you look at that?
Well, that's where Ryan's super valuable. I mean, he built metrics for all of that. So we know exactly, we break down customers spend from level 1 to level 5. And so level one customers is our top 10 customers are like 60% of our revenue. And then level 2 through 5 are the other 40%. And so there's definitely like metrics that we follow there. But I think where my brain doesn't work very good is the analytical stuff. And that's where Ryan's been super helpful. But I think for us, we've always just defaulted to what has worked best, which is like putting out content to be found and investing in like SEO, you know. SEO is still important. And that's like where okay. So I make mistakes all the time, but I made a terrible one this year where we just killed all of our marketing budget. Like you've seen like our social, we've just stopped pretty much. I mean, I've been putting out stuff, but I just did an experiment to say, we're just going to kill all marketing spend and rely on partners to bring us the business. And that was a terrible idea, but it's cool because now I'm at like baseline. And now I can turn on a marketing budget again and be super, super intentional with it. And where I'm thinking is like, I've been wanting to be super on the front end of LLM and AEO and all this like AI searchability, but SEO is still like the foundation of that. And so I think like rather than investing in the infrastructure for outbound sales team, like we're just going to put a lot of our energy into marketing engine. You know?
Why was it a bad idea to turn it off?
Because I think that's what's attributing to us having a terrible like start to the year. January, February sales were low because we weren't proactive at the end of last year and we weren't doing anything to get new acquisition. And for we kind of made it a little bit more public, but we're partnering with Brist, and Brist is incredible. Like they have a huge network of customers and they're obviously like sending us the print work. We're under one roof, but that's great because it's like an unlimited fountain of work, no pun intended, but it's all contract work. So it's like, it's hard to be profitable on that work. So we have to rely on bringing in direct business too. And so when we go back to like the stickiness and 3PL and I think the most important thing for any shop is to like really niche into like what you are as a brand. I know that sounds so simple, but like that, you know, that dude Strength screen printing up in, I've just finally met that dude. I've seen him all over, but he's like from Saskatchewan in Canada. And he's like, I can't do the accent, but he's like, he does all the oil riggers and all the construction companies. And like, that's his thing. That's hard for us to do out here. What makes me nervous is when I say, hey, we want to own the inventory and the 3PL, Well, there's obviously like only a small market for that. Like you have to have the demand. Like there's a lot of people that do online stores through, Printavo or Chipley or Fulfill Engine that are just like these like little pop-up stores. Like that doesn't work for us. We're like, in order for us to work with you and do 3PL, like you have to have a track record of selling a shitload of volume and be like ready to step up to Shopify. I think for me, it's like being very intentional with like who we're built for. So when people find us, they know exactly what they're getting into. And our marketing strategy has always been like a decorator or a screen printer. And then over the last couple of years, we've been this like brand built for brands, but the marketing told that story. So people will have confusion about who we are and what we do.
Do you think your marketing turning off in Jan Feb was correlated or not to just general slowdown? Like, or did you notice more of a slowdown, you feel like, because the marketing was off? Or was it just happened to be?
It wasn't super measured. I think it's both, Bruce. I think that there was a little bit of a purchasing. I think there's just a little bit of a slowdown anyways, but that could have probably been mitigated if we were still aggressive on marketing.
And when you say aggressive on marketing, was that like paying an SEO agency? Is that like sending out a certain amount of emails? Like what did that actually mean when you turned the faucet off?
All of it. So like our CMO, Zach, we cut that relationship. We cut all spend with SEO company. We just like shut it down. And it was kind of an experiment of like, all right, let's save some money, but also like, let's see how beneficial this is. Let's just turn it all off. It's kind of like,
it's like killing the credit card at the company, and then you start to notice what people use and what people don't, and then you start slowly adding those back.
But that's actually like a great experiment. I mean, sucks to lose business, but now that whenever you make that mistake, whenever you add something back in, it's the same with an employee, right? It's really hard to like get rid of an employee, but when you have to add that person back, you are so much more intentional about it. So it's like you almost have to clean house a little bit.
Yeah, that's exactly what. So it's not necessarily a bad thing, and I think that we were just getting. I decided like I want to practice discipline this year, and I want to just really be hyper focused on where every dollar goes, because I think that's so. One of the mistakes that I've also made too is like making. So I believe in like risk. I think taking risk is really important, but you can't take the risk with pride and ego. Like it has to be calculated. And I've taken a lot of risk over pride and ego. Like, dude, we bought that oval. And some of you know the story, but like I bought that oval because I went to go see Eric at Night Owls and he had two. And I was like, that's fucking sick. I want one. And then we got it. And it was like such a huge investment. And it came like we bought it in 2021 when everybody was just balling out and PPP money was just like all over. And then all of a sudden, like 22, 23, like we made that classic mistake that Steven's talked about. We're like, boom, we're crushing it. Let's buy more equipment and hire more staff. And then all of a sudden it like falls off and you're just, so that was like an ego risk. Now I can take some risk with marketing budget, but it's much more calculated. It's not just going to be like the shotgun approach that I've always taken of like, let's just fucking spend it and see what happens,
Who taught you that discipline? Like, yeah, where did you learn that? Is this like your CFO talking to you, like having time in the woods? What?
Yeah, dude, our CFO is like on my ass for sure. Like he was a big one. It's just like, dude, you gotta.
It's a full-time CFO or
fractional. Yeah.
Fractional.
But he was like, man, you just really gotta be more disciplined, and it makes sense, like I think that we've had a lot of good wins and stuff, but it's really exhausting to like build something special and like walk away with terrible years or terrible months. Like it gets old.
Dom, if you were say like, let's get this some action out of this. Say you were you're going to turn the marketing back on with caution. How do you then specifically measure the ROI on that marketing? Like what have you guys made to be like, okay, this marketing is now working or this marketing isn't working? Is it like new customers? What like, do you ask for this? How would a shop wants to say, I'm turning an SEO agency on. What are the next indicators they need to measure at the same time to know if it's working?
Well, really just like, is your organic traffic growing, you know, and how many submissions are you getting? And that's one of the things that's been pretty difficult to track unless you have a robust CRM, is like from like tofu bofu, you know, how many people are actually hitting your site, how many people are submitting form submissions, and then how many of those are actually converting. That's been our biggest challenge to track that. And that's where those systems are so freaking important, of like all of your tech stack working simultaneously. But I would attribute that to just like getting that organic growth back up on the site, and then thinking of it as like a CRO of like, what's the experience from when they land on the site to like getting them through that whole journey to actually converting an order.
Maybe, and as I'm thinking about this right now, I'm even thinking about like, what am I going to do with my team after this call is, you know, how many form submissions do we get per day on average? I have no idea. It might be 8, 7, 4, 10. And like, I would just want my team to whiteboard it for a month. Like, how many do we get today? 10, 12, 15? And then it's like, okay, then maybe the next month it'd be like, of those, you know, 100 leads we got, how many turned into orders? And then like, how do we focus on getting 200 leads? So that would be like the website optimization, right? But I think there's so many, just by starting to measure like, hey, how many people filled out a form today? I feel like that you could just play that game all day, every day. Bruce, did you look at that on Printavo? Because you would look at like demos, right?
I was super analytical, conversion rates through each step, and then just focusing on optimizing the lowest conversion rate step first. So yeah, I mean, homepage to new trial to appointment booked to subscription. And so like, you know, wherever's the biggest step down, that's where we were trying to spend most amount of time figuring out.
Well, like I was just going to say, the difference between subscription model versus like our industry is conversion is it's important to track conversion, but say that you're converting 10 orders a day and their average order size is $200, right? That is a huge problem. Like you have to unpack it too, to like conversion, but also like size of customer and lifetime value, you know, because like we've talked about this before and everybody knows this, the amount of effort from an account manager to process a $200 order versus a $20,000 order is virtually the same. It's probably actually less for a $20,000 order. And then that brings up back the biggest like form of anxiety that I have is like, we're fishing, right? We're casting this net and we're hunting for whales, but we're getting a shitload of minnows in the net. Do we keep those in the net or do they fall through? And there's, out of every 10 submissions, there's only like 20% that are a 9-pound trout or above. There's a lot of minnows that are tire kickers or that.
But do you think you'd miss the big ones if you, or I guess, what are you saying? What's the change? Or what do you want to?
That's where I'm having a panic attack about this industry is like, do you figure out the fulfill engine? Do you do print on demand? Do you like not let those minnows fall and like invest the infrastructure of that? Or do you say like, we're a screen printer, we're focused on volume and 3PL, and like anything that doesn't fit that just falls through the net and we just deal with it? Like, I don't have an answer. That's what I'm wrestling with, you know?
I cold called in college. I knocked on doors and painted houses, and we had a rule that said if you go out for an hour, you should be able to get 10 people to answer a door. So in 1 hour of knocking on doors, you should be able to knock on 50 doors. So 50 addresses, or something like that, 30 or 40 addresses. 10 people should answer the door, and at least one person should give you a lead. And that was like our thing. And so we're like, we have to knock on 30 or 40 doors an hour, no matter what. But we knew very well that those were the minnows, because I'd be like, I'm not going to paint your doorstep or whatever. I want a $3,000 paint job. And I think it's the same for us. We're going to get a lot of little leads. We need to make sure we're measuring qualified leads versus not qualified leads. And then the real question you're asking, Dom, is should I just turn those little leads away? Or should I find a solution for them to be like, hey, we can't do this in-house, but you can set up an online store and Fulfill Engine's going to do it. And now you can start to nurture them, right? But the question is, if you start to nurture them, what's the cost associated to this? Bruce, I don't know if you want to talk real quick about, and we can maybe talk openly about this, of what we've done at Fabric, because we actually had this issue.
Yeah, we have this there, and it's different for obviously than a shop. And Printavo had this too, whereas there's a lot of shops that are maybe getting started or 0 to 100K looking for software, but not able to pay or require so much demo time and setup and everything because they're not ready to go. I don't think we ever figured it out, to be honest. Like we just keep trying. For example, on the Printavo side, we had like a $30 plan, then we had a $100 plan because it wasn't profitable. Then we thought, okay, well, if we service them at $100, a certain percentage will upgrade to the premium, which sounds like yours. Like if we do them for now, maybe they'll become bigger clients. I couldn't necessarily figure out the data on that. And so we just knew that was a little bit of a loss leader to try to get the big ones to come in. And hope that some of them do upgrade. Fabric is kind of similar. Like there's a lot of shops we'd like to help that are, maybe 0 to 150K, 100, 200K. And we're trying to do some stuff that's a lower end price point of a service. And we've launched it. It's called Fabric Launch. And we've got some people interested, but yeah, it does require a lot more handholding than a bigger shop that knows who they are and like the value we can bring on and ready to go. So I guess we also haven't quite figured it out, but are continually trying for that hope that some people do convert and stay longer term.
Everyone can take a page out of Bruce. Has some genius in the way that like he built Printavo and marketed it and tracked these things. Like, I don't know if you know this, Bruce decided to make a website called stevensdtf.com because I always get this stupid question because he wanted to be the troll for once. But really it's a landing page which shows my DTF products because I get that question a lot. But really, you're coming to a site that we're going to be able to talk to you about fabric. That is how you convert people and get them closer to you. We'll give that away, Bruce. Sorry. But that's like how you kind of have to think about it is like, okay, how many people came to the website? How many filled out a form? How many were good forms? How many were bad? How many converted? Because that's what these big companies do all day.
Part of it, the difficulty for us, like when we were at ThreadX, I sat down with Jason from Fulfill Engine and I was like, dude, I got so many questions, but I like didn't even know what to ask him. I'm like, dude, it is just hard to sell this service. Like it's hard to walk the customer through that journey and know what to do. I think I'm a little bit more confident in it, but I mean, in a perfect world, you cook all fish, you cook all fish. But I think a lot of people, and I talked to Justin about this too, a lot of people have been doing things the same for so long that it's like, I don't even want to go down that path. I just want to focus on like the things that I like to cook, and that's where you default back to like, we are a screen printer. We like, if it doesn't, I mean, I've always thought like anything less than a $2,500 sale is just a waste of time. Which is crazy, but it really is. It's like this industry is so difficult. Whoever masters the technology to like, I think where we have an issue in this industry is, we're just going on the analogy train, but the customer is the customer, right? The software is the menu, the ingredients. Like we got to get the ingredients that the customer wants, and the screen printer or the decorator is the cook. The problem is like putting together that menu, that instruction guide. And like, that's where Fulfill Engine is helping. Like there's technology that's becoming more and more helpful to getting that menu together. But like those Minnows like require a very complicated menu, if that makes sense. Whereas like those screen print customers, it's fucking easy, dude. It's like, we want 2,000 shirts with this graphic on it. It's like, but that's what everybody is searching for. Like you want those high volume orders, and they're becoming less and less frequent.
Dom, do you think, let's say you're an $8 million shop, do you think you would service more of the sub $2,000 orders or less than you do now?
Less or more? I mean, I don't know, Brucey. I don't know. I don't know what that looks like.
It's interesting. Like the reason I ask is because I wonder if there's a way to like say, hey, look, if we're double our size, my guess is that it's because we did something. For example, if I go back Printavo days, let's say it was 10 million instead of 5. It was probably because we maybe went a little bit more up market and like we had the bigger customers and less of the smaller ones. Like we just wouldn't be able to scale to that point with more smaller ones. And I kind of wonder, is there a similar question on your end too of like, okay, hey, we want to grow by 7% or we want to get to X revenue. What would that customer mix look like? And backing into that, and does it contain, print on demand stuff or smaller order stuff?
It really depends on the level of tolerance of the customer that we're serving. So like, for example, like this is what scares me about DTF, and like if really niching into that and doing crazy volume is like, what is the chatter back and forth? So for a press approval for screen print for a customer, it goes test print to production lead. They measure it, they check the Pantones, and then it goes, if there's any questions, it goes to production manager or photo approval to customer. So there's like 4 layers of safety to assure that a 2,500 piece order isn't getting rejected, but it's worth it, right? It's like, okay, that's maybe an hour of time to like ensure that this is going to go perfect. Well, now say you infuse crazy frequency of one single piece, 2, 3, 4, like what is the customer service? You're not going to take all that effort to do a spot check on, digital approval, physical approval, like check Pantones, all this. So like, my question is, if the consumers have a lower tolerance threshold than like the high customers, then it's worth it. But if you just infuse like crazy frequency of low volume orders and you're doing fulfill engine or DTF and like all this shit is getting rejected, and that brings back the conversation too. Is the consumer okay with DTF in every case? And what dictates what should be DTF and like what shouldn't be? So, I mean, I kind of went on a tangent, but I'm just saying, like, in order to be a crazy volume DTF shop, there's just so much under the hood of that than just simply like, let's just turn on all the Minnows.
Because you don't want to take the high touch that you're doing on your bigger jobs and move that downstream. You want to simplify it, but also like the Minnows, we're talking, we can go as crazy as like PTOs. The expectation of a PTO is way different than a big brand in Denver that, is like a brewery or something like that. And I will say that I think as screen printers, our perception in our heads is much different than what the customer perceives. The large majority of our company now is sold D2C, DTF on demand. And there's stuff that I don't love. And I'm just like seeing it. I'm like, oof, that looks a little bulletproof. Like, what's this? But our CFO's like, our return rate's under 1%. So get out of your head, like relax. But still, like literally in front of me, I've got 25 DTF prints that I'm testing because I just like can't stand some of the stuff, But Dom, I was just thinking about this. I was like, if you wanted to add $3 million of revenue, and you said that like an average order is $2,500, like a good solid order, that's only putting in 5 more orders a day.
Yeah. How did you do that math so quick? What do you think?
I've got a chip.
Oh, 2,500 times 5. Yeah. That sounds easy, but man, it's tough to get those big orders. Like every screen printer knows get that is.
So what I did is I took $3 million. I divided by Dom's like average order size, which is $2,400. That's 1,250 orders per year extra. We divide that by 12. That's 100 more orders a month. We divide that by 4. It's 26 orders a week. We divide that by 5 working days. It's about 5 orders. So you could almost think about it as like, how do I just get 1 more order per day? Now, how do I get 2 more orders per day? How do I get 3 more orders per day? And if you almost played that game, that's a game we play every day. You could naturally climb out of it and not worry about the minnows or like you're going to have small, you're going to have big. But, if you can get 5 more orders a day, that's $3 million a year.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a crazy way to look at it. Yeah. And I mean, I think the other side of that too, going back to like ebbs and flows of having a shitty month, it's so knee-jerk reaction to be like, let's do like a sales campaign or whatever. But when you really think about the difference of new acquisition on a minnow versus a whale, is a whale takes 6 months. Like if we're going to onboard a huge franchise company, we're going to take over and adopt all their 3PL. We're going to do all their decoration. like from right now, if I start negotiating, we won't close probably until October because there's so much that goes into that. But when you do, it's usually like a minimum of like $500,000 to $1 million account. So it's totally like worth that effort. But it doesn't help you when you're like, oh, we're coming off of a bad month. We need to convert some sales real quick.
Yeah. What we look at is so we have like these, basically we look at a school or a national Greek account that we wanted to do anywhere between $100,000 and $300,000 a year. And it's like, we're just like, can we just get one more this quarter? So like our goal for this year in like Greek is like 2 national accounts. If we get 2 more national accounts, that's it. And we just like check that. So it's like those are going to come unless you have a dedicated outbound team just hunting for those $250,000 accounts. I don't know. You have to take everything.
I have a question for you guys. Cause like this is, I pulled back the marketing budget, but we did hire an outbound girl and she's doing phenomenal. But I'm getting blasted with Instagram ads and like almost taking the bait on all these companies like link list or whatever. That's like, oh, build your outbound AI automation, 10,000 emails a month, guaranteed, like cold scripting, all that shit versus like, so you have high conversion theoretically of Minnows versus like very, very intentional outbound where it's like you're spearfishing, you're spending 15, 20 minutes on researching that customer, prospecting the right person. Like I haven't necessarily found the right formula. Like we almost pulled the trigger on that just mass outbound campaign. But what I was talking to Kevin about too is like, I don't know how many people run Fixer, but like I don't get spam. And a lot of probably CEOs and people that you're trying to get in front of, like if you're doing that mass blast, like that shit's probably not even getting to their inbox anymore. It's the cat and mouse of like I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is. And I'd be curious to know like what is success look like for outbound sales? Very intentional, lower frequency or crazy frequency. Just we'll take whatever comes through the door.
Yeah, Kevin Oakley at Stoked has really built a pretty massive outbound sales engine off leads and stuff like that. We don't do that. We're more spearfishing. I mean, we just haven't had a ton of success. What we do is we use a lot of our D2C mailing to try to convert them to B2B. So it's like if you buy one shirt from an online store, we can convert you to a bulk order for something else that you have. But it's hard. Yeah, if there's anyone that's really, really good at it, let us know.
That's my theory. In a world where there's only going to be more email like that because of all the AI tooling and everything and everybody else jumping into it too, that the more super customized, tailored, one-off conversion, sending someone send me a book, right, with a note that they wrote in it. That's the one I'm going to see, obviously. I'm not going to see all the different emails and so on. Granted, it takes more time, more cost, but really standing out. And now it sits on my desk and I see it like constantly.
Dom, you could kind of take the same, like if you're a brand built for brands and you're not this like crazy marketing agency that's going to like fire out thousands of emails a day and do that. What if you took the approach of like, we're going to send out 200 curated boxes a month, like super high end. And we're going to actually like put that coffee brand on it or something like that. Like, would that do anything?
Maybe we've tried. When we had a DTG printer, we actually did that. We made like a sick design circle, just inserted their design in it, sent them out in like old paint cans. Like we've done a campaign like that, and it was like a pretty low conversion. But I think like where my head is at is like back to what we first talked about. Either they find you or you find them, or a balance of both. And I think like really intentional, well thought out outbound, along with like, oh, they find you strategy, like doubling down on SEO, making sure these search engines know exactly how to find us. And then I think it's a retooling of like what we are as a brand and serving up the brand built for brands experience versus just screen print. That's like where my head's at for this year.
If you were to, you're going to have to tell this to the whole printing community. Where is Superior Ink a year from now? Set it out in public a little bit, and we'll circle back in a year and we'll see if you hit it.
Like revenue wise, or just like,
I don't know, like we want to grow by this percentage. I don't know, just like call out something.
We're gonna move again. We'll be in a different state by next year. Dude, really, I mean, the honest focus for me is just to stabilize. Like we've had a couple rocky years, and like I want to stabilize and make sure that we're profitable this year. We've finally like gotten over the hump of the risk and the spend. So if we could have like a 10% net margin this year, I don't really care about revenue anymore, dude. I really don't. Like, I don't care if we make $1 million or 20 million. I just want to be a profitable, healthy company and have a good culture and have SOPs built out, automation as much as possible, so that if we had a tidal wave of like new employees tomorrow that we had to rebuild again, like they would just plug and play. Those are like, that's what would be important for me going into 2027.
Dude, I love it. Damo, we appreciate you sharing all this. To be honest, I have a list of like 10 more questions that the audience wanted to ask. So I don't know, maybe we could do a part 2 or something if you're open to it. But this has been really, really cool. From Fountain, Colorado, or Denver, Colorado, I should say. I haven't been there in 2 weeks. Thank you so much for being able to join us for this episode, Print Hustlers. We appreciate you guys joining us, and good luck Illini this week. Thanks so much for listening. Hopefully that was informative. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to hit the bell for notifications if you enjoyed this video. If you enjoy all the stuff we're putting out, it's really helpful. We love to just be able to see it. That means that we're doing a good job. To subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and hit the like button. And I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.